Alright guys, for this next project, what we're going to be taking on is going to be a 125-gallon aquarium. So when I started looking at prices online, the aquarium itself can run $1,000 just for the aquarium. So what I want to try to do is see how far along on the aquarium project I can get with only running or with using materials, cost-efficient stuff, alternative materials that, you know, can save me $1. It might be a little bit more work, but it can save $1. So right now what we have is the aquarium and the stand, which we were able to get through Facebook Marketplace, and that ran to about $200. So we're about $200 into the project. So before we get started, I just want to fill up the aquarium, make sure it doesn't leak. If it does leak, I'm going to see if it's fixable with just, you know, something I can do myself. And if it's not, then we can turn this into a terrarium. But for now, it's just fill it up, see if it works, and then we're going to go from there. So when I purchased the aquarium, like I said, it came with the stand. It also came with a couple of these lights, and it came with a couple of glass covers and the heater. The dude from Facebook Marketplace tells me this is about 10 to 12 years old. So it's an old tank. That's kind of why we're testing it out, making sure that it doesn't leak prior to me, you know, start putting sand and gravel towards the bottom. But we're at a good start. So all other materials that I start adding into it, I will go ahead and keep kind of track so you guys see how much money either I'm saving, how my mistakes are going to be costly, and how going with used materials and our alternative materials kind of helps. So we'll see how far along I can get. All right, so I went ahead and tested it out. It's looking good. No leaks so far. I filled it all the way up to the top. I don't really feel like I'm going to keep it this full, but for the sake of being sure, I went ahead and filled it up to the top. I'm going to leave it full for about an hour, make sure that no leaks pop up. Then I'm going to pump most of the water out. That way I can start working on some of the substrate and some of the sand and gravel. So hopefully it goes well, and maybe we can have some fish in here by the end of the week. So for all of you who have fish tanks this big, any recommendations you can throw my way? At some point I'd like to have live plants growing out of this aquarium. So any of you that may have some experience with that, let me know in the comments. Okay guys, so at this point we have gone ahead and added about $30 worth of sand and gravel. Now I went with the sand and gravel from Home Depot because it's a little bit cheaper than buying the sand and gravel from a pet store. We were able to get 3 bags of sand and 3 bags of gravel for $31. So it was a little bit of a hassle getting it cleaned up, but now that it's inside the tank, it looks okay. We had to kind of wash everything before putting it in, and then I had to do 2 or 3 full water changes. But as you can see, it's already in place and it's already ready to go. So hopefully it works out. So the cleaning process was a little bit more time consuming than I would have liked, but I ended up saving a whole lot of money. Sand at a pet store might run you $20 to $40 a bag, and I was able to get the paver sand for like $6. Same thing with the gravel. You're looking at $20, maybe more for a bag, and I was able to get each one of those bags for like $6 or $7. So again, it's looking pretty good so far, and right now we're at like $240. All right guys, like I had mentioned earlier, when I first got the aquarium, it came with these glass, right? But there wasn't enough of them. This is the only large piece, and I had this smaller piece for each section. So I had to pretty much replace all 3 sections. So I looked it up online. It turns out that they're actually pretty pricey to be getting all 3 pieces. So the way I worked around it was I went and got plexiglass. So I went through Facebook Marketplace, and they were selling plexiglass, pretty good thickness. I don't know if you could see it there, maybe a 1/4 inch. and they were selling this plexiglass for $5 each. Now, if you can see here, I've already cut the plexiglass into size on these first two, and it's working out pretty well. As you can see, the light still goes straight through them pretty well. You can already see where it's catching the condensation. And the good part is since I was able to make it pretty much custom size, and because of the thickness, if I need to like drill a hole for maybe the filter, if I decide to put it on top, I can do that. I can make custom little sections for it depending on what kind of filtration system I want to set up for it. I got 2 extra depending on whether I want to go with the top filtration. I can cut it in the shape, or if I want to put something on top as far as like canister or anything like that, I can drill out little holes. So I have 2 extra ones, but like I said, these came out to $5 each, so $20, and I saved myself maybe $100 depending on the price of what some of these go brand new. So that's gonna round out video 1. The next step I want to do is start rigging up some lights and work on the filtration. I've been looking at some DIY filtration units for aquariums. So if any of y'all have tried some or have seen some that have been working well for you, if you could leave me a link on the comment section, that way I can go ahead and check that out. I'm trying to save as much money as possible on this. Right now I'll put the totals of how much I've spent so far, and I'm trying to keep this as close to maybe like $500 for the entire setup. Again, the aquarium itself was supposed to cost $1,000, so if I can make it under $500, it'd be great. So again, any advice y'all can give me, any videos y'all can send me on maybe some DIY on the filter system, let me know.